Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Yellen, thank you for being here. I do have to congratulate you on the recovery we're seeing from COVID, and I think the recovery primarily is due to the fact that Build Back Better did not pass, and the pro-growth policies that we put in place under President Trump remain in effect, and thank goodness that those policies did not pass. It surely would slow our recovery. Inflation is the number one thing that I hear about when I go home. I was in a restaurant recently speaking to a retired police officer, and he said, you know, at the end of he gets Social Security and a little pension check, and he said, at the end of the month, I used to have money left, and now what can I do? I can't put gas in my car. And Moody's says 8% inflation costs the average family $343 a month. $343 a month, according to Moody's. The biggest, outside of faulty monetary policy, which you've played a part in, I think the biggest driver of inflation is energy prices. And I know you like to blame that on the Ukraine war, but in fact, in January 21, when President Biden took office, the cost of gasoline for all grades was $2.40 in the United States. In February 22, the month before the Ukrainian war, it was $3.60. So it had gone up 50% before the Ukrainian war, before Russians started amassing on the Ukrainian border. My question really here is the Biden administration intentionally driving up energy prices? Because it sure looks to me like they are. Day one, he halted new leases when he took office and on federal lands, and he withdrew the Keystone Pipeline permit. He slow-walked permits for various stages of oil production since then on existing leases. 2 weeks before Russia invaded Ukraine, he took to the public pulpit and reiterated his suspension of leasing on federal lands for no reason other than, I think, to drive up the cost of fuel. 3 weeks ago, as gas hit $4 a gallon in South Carolina, he announced that he was withdrawing permits for drilling in Alaska leasing for drilling in Alaska and in the Gulf of Mexico, apparently trying to drive gasoline above $4 a gallon. It was effective. And then 2 weeks ago in Japan, he said, well, there's an upside to high fuel prices because it'll ease the Great Transition. Interesting phraseology. If you'll Google that, you'll see some interesting results. So, you know, it comes from supply and demand. Couldn't the federal government do more to increase supply? Do you not think that his withdrawing of federal leasing and slow-walking permits and
there are 9,000.
Do you not believe that the federal government could do more to increase supply and drive down the cost of fuel? I guess the bottom line question is this increase in fuel prices intentional on the Biden administration? Because it seems to me that it is irrefutable.
It is an enormous burden on American households. And
I agree. It seems like it's an intentional effort on the Biden administration.
The president has authorized a million barrel a day release from the strategic petroleum
which is a drop in the bucket. It's a showpiece, and you know it. You know it's a showpiece.
There are 9,000 permits that have been issued.
They want American people paying more for gas to ease the Great Transition.
Mr. Rice, could we let the Secretary answer, please?
Sure.
There are 9,000 permits that have been issued that the oil and gas sector can take advantage of, and 20 million acres of public lands under lease right now that are not being produced on.
So there's nothing more they could do to increase production.
I think American producers saw low prices after the pandemic, lost money, and cut their drilling activity. Oil supplies declined, and the high prices that prevail right now are a huge incentive.
We can
thank the gentleman and thank the witness. We will now proceed to a 2-to-1 ratio for questioning based on committee practice. And let me recognize the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Davis, to inquire.